I was like in a hamster wheel, constantly trying to survive, to prove something. Overnight, they've changed the algorithm, and I lost half of my followers in the group. It was a complete shock. I love the internet, I'll be honest with you. It's like you can connect with people all over the world. One of my predictions for 2026, for example, is that one-on-one coaching and consulting will be big,
Most people over 50 think it's too late. Too late to start online, too late to earn money from what they know, and too late to reinvent their life. But what if this is the perfect time? Maybe you are an empty nester. Maybe you are going through a gray divorce. You just want freedom and control again. You are not too late. You are right on time. Today, we are talking about one simple goal: making your first dollar online. Because that first dollar changes everything. It proves your experience has value. It proves people want to learn from you. And it shows you that it's never too late to start. My guest today is Jerry Keszka, the writer behind 50 Plus Forward on Substack. He's a former scientist turned writer and then online writer and solopreneur who helps people over 50 monetize what they already know and take back control. His journey started with a nightmare moment. Overnight, Facebook changed the algorithm and he lost thousands of followers. That is when he realized the truth. An email list is gold. It protects your future and your business. So in this episode, we are talking about why 50 plus is the perfect time to start and how you can make your first dollar online.
Hello, welcome to the Online Writing Club together with Jerry. As you remember, a few minutes back, we started our conversation with your amazing story on how you actually started your email list. Maybe you can share a bit more about this, let's say, Facebook shock moment you told me about.
I've been quite active, on social media. I was always in freelancing and I was always interested in business, but I was doing traditional business before. And the thing is, I used to have a closed group on Facebook, and I believe it was about 7 or 8 years ago. I will never forget, this feeling, and you should see my face when overnight they've changed the algorithm and I lost half of my followers in the group. And it was about 4,000 people in the group on Facebook. It was a complete shock. And so at this moment, I realized that to build any sustainable business, you need an email list. And since then, I was always building my email list. I had previously newsletters in different niches. I remember because that happened to so many people, and I don't quite remember. It was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. But, Facebook is very famous for it, and any platform can take away your followers. Your account can be closed for whatever reasons, and it happens even for people on LinkedIn as well. You can lose your following anytime. And the only way to make sure that you are in touch with your audience and nurturing them is build an email list. So that's why, Substack is so powerful. I was building a list before, on LinkedIn, on Medium as well. But since I joined Substack in the end of July 2024, I realized why so late, but I will tell you why I was postponing that decision. I regret it, but better late than never, because they didn't have automations. And it was always my concern. And, I love email sequences, automations. I was a little bit obsessed with it, to be honest with you. But you can do anything, to be honest with you. And you can connect also any email service provider as well to Substack. So there are always ways, to overcome any obstacles. So, I'm so glad that I joined Substack, because I've seen you started it before me, and I regret it. I was like, okay, Kristina is there already, and I regretted it left. that I didn't join it, at the time. You did it because you're the clever one. So
Yeah, but Jerry, I have to be honest with this. I definitely also have the feeling that I was late to the party. Let's call like this, because I started writing on Medium in 2020. You told me you started in 2021, and then in 2020, 2024, I really made it, started making this a business and seeing this as a business and treating it as a business. And so, yeah, I also feel this way.
Hi, it's Kristina. Are you 50 plus and think it's too late? It's never too late, my friend. You can earn your first dollar online and I can help you do it. Join the Online Writing Club for more support, guidance, and real steps.
And there was something very exciting going on in the last couple of weeks. You told me actually something pretty awesome about you and Justin was. Somehow you're connected now in a specific way.
Everybody knows Justin Welsh in the industry, and I bought all his courses, and I've been following him for years. And I remember the moment when on the leaderboard, on Rising in Business, I was just behind Justin Welsh at one point, because I'm, dropping off, climbing. So you could just depending on how much I promote, actually, my newsletter. Substack is wonderful because you can monetize it in so many ways. But the thing is, truly passive income doesn't exist. Even if you've got the best product, you have to promote it. Let's be honest. I use Medium and Substack flywheels. It's like a perfect collaboration. So I get traffic from Medium because it's a very good source of traffic. It has got a very good authority. And I drive it to my Substack and directly to Gumroad as well. So, and it does help.
I think it's also because both of us, we started somehow on Medium, but this is not really the place where you started. Jerry, maybe you can take us to this moment where you started freelancing pretty early, and then this moment where you actually found out, oh, I can make money on the internet as well, So maybe you can tell us a bit more about what happened there and email for you.
You see, I'm one of those people who's been writing for forever, so for ages, because I was always curious, and I've got background in science, so obviously I was writing scientific papers, and I had 4 blogs, and I failed at all 4 of them. And I tried WordPress, Blogger, and Tumblr. I don't even know. Some people probably don't know what Tumblr is. And I couldn't somehow I couldn't monetize any of them because I didn't have the skills. I had a goodwill, but fortunately, all those failures, in a way, it's never a failure because I've learned so many things. Because on WordPress, for example, I've learned what lead magnet is, email marketing as well, because you can incorporate all this. And it was slowly but surely I was making all the time some progress. So it doesn't matter how fast, and probably most people would give up, but I didn't. So I'm stubborn because I don't know, I was always attracted to this idea of writing. There was something about it. And, finally, when I joined Medium, everything has changed. Not from the very beginning, to be honest with you, because when I started to write on Medium, it was 2021. And I remember I was posting just occasionally, just 1 article per month. And, I was earning about $5. And I was like, how is it gonna? And that was this lack of knowledge, not understanding by me, the true compound effect online and leverage what it gives you. And finally, I was like, I got this job at the time I was living in Portugal, and I got this online job, and I hated it so much that I was willing to do anything, absolutely anything and everything to just make somehow money online. And, and finally, so I was writing every single day for a couple of months and publishing every single day on Medium. And guess what? After a couple of months, I became 2 times top writer on Medium. And finally, I was able to quit the job. And I was like, and that's how I found you, because, I loved your articles so much and they helped me so much as well. I'll never forget it, this with tagging, because I didn't understand any of those. And that was so helpful. And yeah, and I was able finally to break through after so many years of failures. So never ever give up. And and I did it in my 50s. So it's never too late to start and a new project, a new whatever. And that inspired me also to create my Substack for people over 50, because they're so neglected as well, because it's mostly for young people with little or no experience, and people over 50, they got loads of knowledge, lots of skills, but like myself, they don't know how to use it. And I'm helping them to transform their experience into online income, and to find themselves in this digital world, because it can be challenging. But the times are changing as well. And even within these 3 years writing online, I've noticed a lot of changes. And now in many ways, it's a sort of simpler as well. Like before, there were these complicated funnels and etc. And I was building them as well with sometimes with a little success, but I like this aspect of technicality, but at the same time, the simpler the better. So it's like if something is too complicated, it just doesn't work. And especially if you run your business on your own, if you don't have a large team, well, it will be too challenging, because you have to learn so many things and you have to look after so many things that this is just impossible for one person to run.
Yeah, and I think it's so impressive because you used to be a scientist, and we talked about exactly this, these scientific papers and everything had to be so factual. And then somehow, from this world of facts, you also got into the world of glamour. Maybe you want to tell us a bit more about London Fashion Week and all what happened after this fashion beauty world.
I was always a very good student and I was interested in science. But during doing my PhD, I realized this is not really for me. It was too rigid and my lifestyle would be very limited as well. And I always wanted to travel. So that wasn't the best choice for me. Therefore, after doing my PhD, I left academia and I completely changed professions. I decided to follow my dream, because I was always interested in fashion and beauty. And so I left Warsaw to London and I managed, to get some good work on catwalk in magazines. I did London Fashion Week. I did later on. I moved to Australia. I did Australian Fashion Week in Sydney, and I lived in Melbourne as well. I did a lot of photo shoot with some celebrities and some stuff for BBC. A lot of music videos, but as it sounds glamorous, but there is a dark side of the fashion industry as well, like in every industry. And I was working really a very long hours, sometimes during the weekends. It was the income was sometimes unreliable, sometimes it was really good. So when I started, I can tell you, when there was different budgets. When I started, if that was commercial, I could earn more in one day than people throughout the whole month, So, but then, the budget is now it's not the same because the fashion industry has changed as well. It didn't really work for me. And, and I was getting older as well. And let's be honest, too, you have to be physically fit, when you spend the entire day, and the real drama is behind the scenes, of course. You have to be physically active and there's so many things going on. And it was just making me tired, really. And the commuting, hours, in London. At certain point, I was living in southeast London and I was commuting to north west London. So, anybody who knows London, it's like 3-4 hours per day. And I was mentally and physically exhausted, and I was like, enough is enough. And that later on, COVID happened. I was like in a hamster wheel, constantly trying to survive, to prove something. And from one hand, there was this publications, all these glossy magazines, but I had nothing to show for it, to be honest with you, in real life. And I was like, whoa, what I'm doing with my life? COVID was the moment when I really stopped, because when you're constantly preoccupied, so busy, you don't have time to even think of what you do really, because you're so overwhelmed with everything.
On the internet streets of Substack, there are people who want to learn from you and buy from you your services, your products, your experience. So join the Online Writing Club today.
There is a turning moment for many people, because suddenly we realize we can work from home. It's real, although we tried before a couple of things, and occasionally I was making some money online, but it was nothing serious, to be honest with you. And that's when I realized that this is, I have to make it work. So I didn't know how, but I started to do research, of course, and this was quite exciting. And my first ebook I actually wrote in the COVID. It was a completely different niche. It was anti-aging. I sold a couple of them. It's like, without a big promotion, to be honest with you. So that was also a proof of the concept.
Yeah, I think it's so impressive, come from science, then going into fashion and beauty, and then somehow also like finding like this Jerry 2.0, like during COVID, after COVID, and then quitting your 9 to 5. This is crazy impressive. And another thing I think is super impressive is that you really went from being like this factual writer to someone who can really, on an emotional level, trigger your reader so that everyone wants to stay around and stick around and wants to read your writing. Maybe you can share a bit more about this, this transformation from like a factual writer to this more like people psychology knowing writer Jerry that you are now.
That was probably one of the reasons I wasn't successful at all, in blogging, because I was trying to copy my scientific writing style, when it's very different, because it's very factual. It's like this, and that, and here's the proof. And, like when you write online, it has to be based on emotions and psychology, and it's not about manipulating people. It's not about this, but it's about evoking some emotions. Like any good writing should do this anyway, even, business writing, because without any emotions, it's just boring and it doesn't resonate with the audience. So it hit me hard, I was very stubborn in a way, and I should invest. Later on, I finally understood, I'm missing something. And I never regret it. I spent thousands of dollars, on courses, writing courses, later on some coaching, consulting, and I never regretted. There were, some were better, some worse, but I never felt like I wasted my money. So yeah, some of them I didn't finish, I'll be honest with you, but the most I've learned, it was from writing, actually. So the most progress I did, I feel it was from writing every single day and publishing. And of course, like every writer, I was going through those phases of perfectionism, procrastination. I think it's completely normal for everyone. From what I see, even from writers in different niches, the best writers, they write every single day. And that's what makes you a good writer, no matter what. Of course, there will be days like for whatever reasons, you're not going to be writing because you're sick or whatever, something happens. That's why it's good to have this bank of your articles or to prepare for situations like that. And sometimes, you're not going to be 100%, not even every day. Sometimes you're going to be 40%, sometimes 50, sometimes 60, sometimes 80. But as long as you're moving forward, that's what really matters. As soon as I started, somehow, I don't know, it resonated with people. Maybe because I was somehow honest and authentic about it. I didn't want to pretend anybody else, like I struggle like everyone else, I made so many mistakes. What mistakes that you can imagine. But that was like a lesson. What hit me really, because I was thinking about freelancing, for example, and I had a lot of people approaching me, but I was surprised how little money they offer. Like in writing, like if you want to be freelance writer. So I could never understand how you can make a decent living. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna go this route. I'm gonna make it as a solopreneur. Like you need to have an offer and service or digital products. It depends how you help, you need to solve a problem and connect it with your offer. Some people sell, high ticket offers. Some people sell consulting, coaching, whatever it will be. In every case, it will be different story. That depends, what kind of problem do you solve? So
yeah, I think like these bargain prices, as it, for instance, started with Fiverr or so, definitely there are people doing it for whatever, like $5 or $50 or so. But what's also interesting is really for 2026, so many are talking about like this trust regression. So there is AI is everywhere. So they love to have like AI editors or real storytellers there, and companies or brands that fired all their editors or brand managers or product managers or whatever, however you want to call them, they all want to hire new people for 2026 because they found out, well, actually, AI, of course, can help us. And they whatever, like AI can pump out for 24/7, whatever, like millions of pieces or so on the internet. However, what I actually need is a human that can then create all this stuff and add his or her 2 cents to the whole story. And yeah, so I love this, that freelancing is becoming like the next big thing for 2026. And so many people are now pumped about this because with ChatGPT and so on, all these companies, they also say, hey, we're gonna pay you even like whatever, $300,000 or so per year if you can help us to make our blog better, to make our writing better, So this is what I love. And I think about, what was it, like 70% or 80% or so are going to be freelancers, and by 2027. So it's going to be increasing everything. Many people think that freelance writing is like saturated, but it's definitely not. So yeah, I would definitely recommend like starting on Medium for discovery, and then the next big thing would be a parallel. You can also say, I'm going to start my email list. This would be like my recommendation for 2026.
Hey, it's Kristina. Did you know that I also offer a mentorship program where I help people 50 plus reinvent their lives and build an income online? The best time is about to come, trust me. So join the Online Writing Club today. To be more specific, the Beyond membership experience.
Jerry, when we earlier talked, he also said about like your corporate job that you're so happy you're like out of hell with your corporate job and that you're really like enjoying this right now. And what you're doing now, we haven't talked about this yet, is you're helping people 50 plus to like maybe leave their 9 to 5, or maybe they got fired. I think 50 is like this threshold where lots of people are going to get fired also inside the Online Writing Club community. I know many, whatever, like with 48 or 51 or so got fired. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about this, like this, your goal of helping them to earn their first dollar online and their first $1,000 online, and how this makes you feel, and maybe also like your vision for them, and also for the boot campers, what your vision is for them.
Yeah, because this is a very good question. You see, like the situation, I mean, the economy is changing so rapidly. Nobody really knows what is happening. But all I know, looking at the data and the research, and I write about this as well, this is proved by the data, that the number of layoffs, especially for people over 40 and 50, it's alarming. So it's like before previous generations, you would have one or two jobs or maybe three. It's like even my siblings, who are retired already, they're like, they never like changed the jobs like myself. And now the situation is completely different. So even people, I mean, I never liked any of my jobs, to be honest with you. It's just like for me, it was very limited in many ways. I've got many interests. I think that believing that one person can do the same thing throughout the entire life is extremely limiting. You can't develop any skills if you do this, for entire life. This is like for, I don't know, in the manufacturer shop. It's just crazy for me because I got so many interests and passions and I could talk about for hours about it. But what I'm passionate about is like, like helping people. We're very unique. Like we've got some sort of awareness about the economy, what's going on. Most people, they don't. They live in their, I mean, we do live in our bubble as well, but it's like at least we're open-minded. I met people like in real life, and this is heartbreaking, about my age, because I was always like, I traveled the world. I was always changing careers. I wasn't afraid of any reinvention of myself. You're never too old. Like in my community, I've got people who started their Substack in their 50s, 60s, 70s. And, I'm going to have an interview with somebody who's just from my community. And she's gonna launch her first novel at the age of 73. So hello. And I love people like that. And so many people without even getting ready for that, they were unprepared and they got laid off and suddenly they face completely different reality. Ages is real as well, and people struggle to find a job. I remember before it was so easy to find a job. I remember those times. I was born in the 60s and like in the 80s, in the 90s, you could change the job so easy. It was just unbelievable, seriously. But now this is just crazy. You can send and 100 you have CVs. The skill, like writing CVs, is another skill. Applying for the job interview, people like suddenly they face another reality, but they've got so many skills, so much experience, and they can. So I help people over 50 monetize what they already know and to turn this into online income. Whether they want to make it like additional income, side job, or completely change career, reinvent themselves, or start a proper business, because what you do with it is totally up to you. And there are so many people facing this reality. And I feel like, this group of people over 50, 60, 70 is like one of the most neglected groups. Because, if you're relying young like yourself, Kristina, you're full of energy, you can like change your life 100 times, but people sometimes don't believe in themselves. And I just help them with very simple methods to start somewhere, because, we all want six figures. Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I encourage everybody, to monetize their skills. But people ignore one thing. If you want to make six figures, you have to start somewhere from your first 1,000 earned online, okay? First 10,000. And let's start there, because, you don't build the house from the roof. So we'll start with something very simple, very basic, but something what you can scale, you can use, and then build this on. Because, I'm curious person. I love to test things. I created 5 income streams on Substack itself. So, I'm still testing what works, what doesn't, and of course, I'm not gonna keep all of them probably. We're gonna see how it works, but maybe I'll come with something completely different. So it's just, but you have to start somewhere. It's so important because it validates your idea and validates, and it shows you the proof, the leverage you get online. And this is so powerful. And I love that. I love the internet. I'll be honest with you. It's like you can connect with people all over the world. And it's just like, also, for me, it's so exciting, like talking to you, like mentors, who you look in at and you are dreaming about. Don't you think so? I think it's amazing. And it's so actually easy to connect with them. Just send them a message, but don't be needy, and it's just, and it really works. And I got so many nice messages and it's just incredible. You see like everybody's using AI and there's nothing wrong with using AI, of course. It's very helpful, but at the same time, we're more isolated. We're like more lonely as well. And people need this human factor and direct connections. And one of my predictions for 2026, for example, is that one-on-one coaching and consulting will be big, And I know because I'm in different groups, I love to be updated and with people who are making like really serious money, like 30K per month, 200K. And, and they said the same. I mean, currently, everybody have noticed that the earnings slowed down a bit, in the last couple of months, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna slow down now. So we'll see what's gonna happen. So I'm very excited, for this, and I just want to say that it's never too late, and you can honestly always reinvent yourself, no matter what, and change your circumstances.
Jay, I was asking, what are your 5 different income streams, Jerry?
Paid subscriptions, ebook mini course, a one-on-one consultation, and I had a sponsorship as well.
Yeah, and sponsorships and brand deals are something that is definitely coming to Substack. You might have read already all these articles last year where somehow all the investors or somehow leaked what's going to come for 2026. So I'm going to expect this, but it's nothing like new. This is going to happening, to any platform on Medium. There were also so many people then getting sponsorship deals and all this stuff. So this is nice. Now there's got to be like a renaissance of this human factor where people are going to say, well, yeah, you have an online course, but it's just on demand. What I want is the human factor. I want you to give me a one-on-one, or I want you to do it live. And this is like, I always said, like, power is in the live, the power is in the live, or the magic is in the live. If you want to share like a specific level of quality and have a specific service quality in mind. So I think also when it comes to the bootcamp, Jerry, Ellen, and I, we have like these unique perspectives, Jerry coming from like quitting his 9-to-5, now helping people 50 forward, used to be a scientist, was in fashion, was in beauty, and now is helping others. And then we have Ellen, she's a psychotherapist. And within a few months, she built this amazing online empire. She would never ever say this to you, but I think she built it already. And now she is going to get featured and people want to talk with her, and she's booking podcasts and other stuff. So it's amazing how your life can change if you start writing online. Jerry, is there anything more you think we missed? I think we missed one thing we talked about, because you told me about the top brands. So you said you work for top brands, but also the magazines where you got featured.
Vogue, British and Russian Vogue, Marie Claire, Elle magazine, and Vanity Fair as well. I did London Fashion Week, Australian Fashion Week, BBC. So it was a lot of this, of those. So, I think that I'm now more creative and I can help more people doing what I do now. You up in the fashion industry, to be honest with you.
Yeah, awesome. Jerry, thank you so much.
Thank to you and see you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Hi, friends. I still remember the feeling when I made my first dollar online. It was amazing back in 2020. And I want the same for you. So join the Online Writing Club for more.